Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Seed Talk podcast. We have a very special guest today. Very excited to have Yannick Yoshizawa on today. And I think this conversation will flow really well because there is a huge event that's happening right now, one of the best sporting events in the U.S. and in the world, but with the U.S. Open. And Yannick is from Intennse Tennise, which is a new kind of professional tennis league. It's team-based, fast-paced, built for both players and fans. It's a modern take on the sport that puts strategy, energy, and connection at the center of the experience for the fans. And so we're happy to have you on, Sterling. I see you over there. Always great to talk to you again. You got a little too much scruff this time. If you're watching back or seeing the highlights. Yeah, you're coming in here looking like a lumberjack over there, but happy to have everybody in. Yannick, really excited to have this conversation and to talk about Intennse. You are one of the original co-founders, but welcome to the Seed Talk podcast. Welcome.
Wow, thank you. You have a good speech training there of going so long without even taking a breath. So you have done that plenty of times, but appreciate you all having me. I heard also, I wasn't there, but I believe, I don't know if it was the two of you or just one of you who was present in one of our events. So I'm just very happy now that I'm on your side of the court.
Yeah, that was Sterling right there.
Yeah, that was me. It was cool to be there. I can hit that now. It was awesome one of the better experiences. I've been to a few tennis matches. I would like to go to more. I know you're at the US Open and we'll talk about that a little bit, but it was great to kind of be in this environment that was fast paced. Obviously, my background being in baseball, and I'm curious about that from you being on the co-founding team. Why did you guys want it to be fast paced? Why did you want it to have this team aspect, which was for me super cool to kind of like watch and be a part of? But how did that kind of come together and formulate?
Yeah, I think for us, especially on my side of it, I come from a tennis background. I picked up a racket when I was probably 2 years old from my mom. So I grew up on the whole ecosystem from juniors to playing college, and then I didn't go pro. I played the very, very low levels of tennis, and then I went to work on the Women's Tennis Association for about 10 years of my life. So I saw a lot on that whole ecosystem. And look, I'm a huge fan of tennis, and I found, as I think you, Sterling, have seen in other sports, including baseball, that there are formats coming up to complement this sport. I think we are not here to, by any means, to compete or to demonize the traditional sport as we all grew up watching. But I believe that there is a space for it. So when it comes to the format, to the more fast-paced, and we also want to believe that it's much more than that, right? When we come in what you saw as the fan experience in itself, we always felt that there was an opportunity for people to experience tennis as people experience other sports, where you can just come in, you can scream, you can yell, you can feel that you're part and you're making a difference for your team, winning or losing. And I always felt that growing up in Brazil, I've always been a soccer fan. And when you're there, winning or losing, you take that win or loss too hard because you felt that you either made a difference for them to win or you didn't make a difference enough for them and you ended up losing. Mm-hmm. And I think tennis having this glamour and traditional individualism, we felt that from the fan perspective, there was a huge missing gap here for more fans to join the sport, right? From just that following a team. And then the fast-paced, removing that time, it was also for that aspect of, okay, I think all of our attention spans are decreasing, but at the same time, people are now, there's so much going on that people want to have their brains going left to right, top, below, so you need to continue to create those, I wouldn't call distractions, but attention spans that you can see from player to something going on the screen and so forth. And so I think that, and this project started, more than 4 years ago, and we did a lot of iterations to get to where we are. But I think the big, let's say, the bigger picture was there was an opportunity to bring more fans to the sport, as well as create more opportunities to players, as in tennis, different than a lot of sports, including baseball, does not provide a living to
Hmm.
the amount of, let's say, money that the sport is bringing in.
Hmm. No, I think it's awesome, and I love this conversation. One, because y'all, with the whole organization of Intennse, this is the first conversation we've had with a home-based Atlanta organization, because I know that you guys are out of the studios in Decatur, and that's where the arena is, and so having a conversation with somebody based in Atlanta, you guys are putting on for the city. So hopefully we do y'all right in this in this conversation, because I think it's amazing that you're bringing that product here. And I think what's cool is you guys are capitalizing in a moment where you've had schisms in leagues from NBA. The biggest one that we can probably talk about is you see people branching off in golf, and then now you had the TGL branch out of all of the separation and trying to hone in on that excitement and bring that aspect of teammanship to different cities like you guys have structured. So when it comes to that adjustment, and like you pointed out with pros and the singularity that you have with being in the tennis community, because it's mano y mano, and from the fans it's like, oh, I want to love Joker, I want to love Alcaraz, but how I would love to love a Joker Alcaraz team in some aspect. So how has that resonated with the tennis community as you guys have put this together? Is like, hey, you know what, just like you've seen in other leagues pop it together, we're going to be a team here and have to that format. Has it been kind of tough in reception with the intensity and that pace? How have the players looked at you guys with this opportunity?
Yes, well, number one, before I get into that, I want to say thank you to the Atlanta community for receiving us. And you may know this, but Atlanta is probably the biggest tennis community in the world,
Hmm.
with tennis players, with Alta. So the receptiveness of those tennis fans and also the non-tennis fans having us was just extremely uh, we were so grateful for that. So appreciate Atlanta being the first home for us, and hopefully we'll continue there. I think to your question, look, I think none of us like change just for the sake of changing.
Hmm.
And I think when anything comes on, it's very easy for people to take it as of their product not being good, so therefore people are bringing, a different product. And I think our mindset is that we definitely don't want to say that there is no bad product. Again, we just believe that there is an opportunity to complement and bring more people for the sport of tennis as well as racket sports.
Hmm.
And so I think when we had a lot of conversations with a lot of groups, one of the reasons I'll be at the US Open as well as to continue those conversations, we've been always very open minded, while we always have to be focused on where the opportunity is, for the players, for the fans, for all the stakeholders that we're bringing value to it. And look, we've heard that from all the way to this thing's not going to work, because of course there is a competitive aspect just for the sake of people think of, oh, this is a professional tennis league. How are the professional tennis players that are playing the US Open going to play our league, right? I
Hmm.
think it's a natural comparison. And look, where we believe and was one of our values is that we believe that there's a huge underutilized talent pool in tennis,
Hmm.
that don't get to play the US Open, not because they're not good enough. It's because there is a huge talent pool that either doesn't have the financial structure to pursue that dream. There is no federation backing them up, or there is no accessibility for that training, and so forth. And when you look even from a baseball perspective or a football perspective that you guys probably see more, there is a pretty structured pathway from when you start elementary school, middle school, high school, and there's traveling teams, and then you go to college, and then you go to pro. In tennis, it's very different. It's very much fragmented when all these countries, they have their own federations, and everyone trains in their own clubs, a lot of times individually. And then when you reach your 17, 18-year old, it's that big question, is like, what do I do? And the United States have, conceptualized that college format, but tennis being a global sport, that gets misrepresented a lot on the aspect of a lot of people. I came to college tennis with the perspective of, oh, I'm not going to pursue my professional career, therefore I'm coming to college, which thankfully has changed over time. And now more players are taking that as a stepping stone, because you're probably not maturing yourself as 17, 18. You're maturing yourself as 23, 24. Right. So these, I think, where people are starting to see is, hey, we're here to complement, we're here to create this pathway. Yes, we are creating, let's say, a part of a, cherry on the cake that we want people to dream, but we also want to have this trickle down effect of creating this pathway, people seeing in Atlanta these professional players so they can dream to become a professional tennis player, versus only seeing them at the US Open in Miami, very few, where it's hard to relate to it. So I think those conversations in the industry is being open-minded, being receptive, and at the same time believing in what we're building, that it's not going to come from one day to another.
Yeah, that's a great. I mean, I think we love that. I know for my brother and I, who got close, right? We were, both of us were okay in college, and then you're like, okay, well, what's next, right? What's kind of out there for me to continue my athletic career? It's such a finite time for you to be able to do that. So, how are you all?
Call me okay in college? I was. Let's just throw that out there. I don't want to. I'm sorry to interject really quick, but go ahead.
You're okay. You're okay. How? But how?
Don't hit me with I was serviceable in college.
I mean, that's what you were. You were serviceable. But how are you looking at the recruitment, right? And to your point, this pathway for a lot of college athletes, like what's a way that a college athlete can find you all, get into what you are doing, especially as you guys look to do season 2 starting next year? How does that kind of look for someone that's like let's say they're a kid at Georgia Tech or at Kentucky, and how can they look at your league as the next stepping stone for their career?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of reach out. We have a great team, who have a lot of great connections with the coaches. We even did a college coach duel match in one of our events as a side exhibition. So we invited 10 college coaches to come and experience themselves. So we had coaches from Harvard to Georgia Tech to University of Georgia. So we had a lot of those coaches so they can experience and then translate back to their athletes. And now what we're doing is it's reach out. We're planning more events in this college so they can experience. And our goal is also to actually do the first draft in tennis in history in the beginning of 2026 for our 2026 season, which we are, the goal right now is to go from one hub, which was Atlanta, to 2 hubs. Also expand from, we had 3 founding teams, we'll call, to now 8 to 10 teams in these 2 different hubs. So we are going to get to the 60 plus players. So there will be a lot of reach out, but we want to have a structure as well as an opportunity to maximize their NIL as well, right? We want these players to be able to, become their own stars.
No, I think that's honestly that was the question I was going to have. And in this new world with in college and NIL and how you guys can be able to, play off of that and come in and work mutually beneficial with colleges and college players. So is it looking to expand the talent pool internationally as well, and have the blend. And with having the 60 players, and then as word gets out, and is there going to kind of have to be a relegation kind of aspect to playing? So if this year wasn't as good as it needed to be, I know from the team or individual aspect, with other players potentially in the wings, as you guys continue to grow, will you have that incorporated into the league as well?
Yes. So two answers to that question. Number one, yes, we are focusing on college tennis, while we are also focusing on players who currently cannot make a living in tennis, right? And
Mm-hmm.
of course, we're open. If
Mm-hmm.
hey, if Novak Djokovic wants to come and say, hey, I actually want to play this league,
Yeah.
we're open for him to come, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
enter the draft there. But I believe that that's the opportunity. And again, we want to continue to create this pathway so then it becomes a mature league. Now, as of next year, we're still going to be a summer league. We're still going to be
Mm-hmm.
within the June to August timeframe.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, players do have the ability to play the other months. While at the same time, one of the things that we want to bring to the table that in tennis does not exist, it's a base salary per se, a base compensation. In
Mm-hmm.
tennis, it's all through prize money and based on performance, and which is there has never been a product that allows a player to, hey, yes, I have a base for my work, and then I still have the ability to earn more based on my performance, which is the bonus system in all the other sports. So that's what we're basically creating here, is try to create this part of creating a base salary to all players,
Mm-hmm.
while at the same time we're going to be in the US for this first couple of years and creating this pathway from college as well.
So I'll let you go in a second. So with the three teams so you started off with Atlanta, Tampa, Jacksonville, all playing, and the season just concluded. Did you guys do anything after August 10th? I know, so it all finished right before really the U.S. Open kicked in. So I think that's really great, filling in, because everybody calls it the dog days of summer. Especially, so it's like where there was a jeans controversy that was like everybody's yearning for something just to talk about and then try and get on top of. So I think it's a great time frame to be within that window. So from the players' perspective, uh, how has the pace been? Is it different? Having the crowd on top of you, and being able to really express yourself and emote out in the court, where it's different. Where we all watched the other night, which we're coming really the day after, but Venus, and how that atmosphere is when you're in Arthur Ashe. And so it's the unwritten rules of tennis. So it changes your mindset up a little bit now that you're hearing more noise in the background. So how has that been intaken by these players?
I think all the players were incredible at adjusting, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe that's what professional athletes do. One, they adjust to their environment, and this is one thing that at least I believed when we were creating this atmosphere. It was that, look, hitting a tennis ball, and I think the traditional aspect of tennis is, oh, you need to listen to the ball, it makes a difference. I do have a big belief as well that those distractions actually will make the athletes better. They
Mm-hmm.
will perform better because they do have to lock in even more than they had before. Um, I'm sure as you hitting a baseball and in a quiet space, it will probably be easier than having 20,000 people yelling at you,
Mm-hmm.
and you cannot hear the pitcher, you cannot see, your mind is racing. So but eventually, I'm sure both of you adjusting to that, it actually made you so much better because you can find even more cues
Yeah.
on how to actually strike that baseball or strike a tennis ball or a soccer ball or whatever it is. And this is what we're seeing it. And we saw the evolution from week 1 to week 6, which actually the noise got even louder, the fans got more into it,
Mm-hmm.
and the players were performing even better because they had that. They already were expecting that noise, and they were able to, perform at it.
I
awesome.
always love the noise personally. To your point, it's like weird because you practice like off a tee and it's silent, and then all of a sudden, like in the game, like you have to like zone back in. But I wanted to ask, that's a great question, Taylor. I want to ask as well in the team aspect of players, because tennis is so isolating. You said this earlier, right? In just in the way that you practice, the way that you go play. What has it been like to see guys now join a team and think about the team aspect? Because to your point, you have a base pay for the players. There's also prize money, per stage and per kind of like game as they're winning. And so how has that changed, or how have you seen that change in the athletes that are in Intennse as they adjust to being on a team?
Look, we actually are just in the process of gathering a lot of feedback from players that played during our season. And I would say one of the top feedbacks has been on how much they enjoyed being part of the team. This aspect of having to travel 30 to 40 weeks a year
Mm-hmm.
by yourself, a lot of times, especially when you're in the beginning without a coach, without a support system, it's extremely hard in any sport for that matter. But in tennis, of course, you have to travel internationally a lot of the times. This part of not only being a part of a 6-person team plus a
Mm-hmm.
coach, it's not just the fact on court, but there were so much great feedback of, hey, now you're going to dinner. Hey, after a tough loss, you're not going home and sitting in a hotel and eating ice cream, and like you have a support system to actually get you back up and train more. And so it's not isolating in that matter only when you're on court there, where you saw it on the cameras on how amazing that support was. And I think even from a storytelling, and I
Mm-hmm.
think this is one thing that we bring it at a lot, right? It's that storytelling of these players, of these teams, and how they interact with each other, and everyone is seeing it on court when it's happening. But the untold stories are, hey, when they're waking up, they're going to breakfast together, they're going to lunch together. After that win or loss, they're going to dinner together. They're talking about it, and that chemistry that is built even within 10 weeks
Mm-hmm.
was a great feedback. So I think that's and it's a natural form of what a lot of these players are coming from college,
Yeah.
but it's not a natural form of the traditional tennis where you're playing individual for your whole time.
Y'all haven't had any. I know it could get as it gets rowdier. No streakers have happened yet. To come across the court, has it?
Not yet, not yet. Or at least not that it was caught on camera.
Yeah, that's when you know though. When you have a streaker, we've made it. We're finally here. We
I
got
thought
the crowd.
Sterling
We're
was going to
into
do that.
it.
No, it's I think my streaking days are behind me. Yeah. I did. Yeah, it's a great point there at the end there, because I'm so curious. This is like a global tennis question, because to your point, it feels like you all at Intennse have such an opportunity from a storytelling perspective. Why do you think we've lost that in the global aspect of tennis? I feel like we only really talk about tennis during the Grand Slams. Every now and then, the Cincinnati Open's kind of a big one, but why do you think that's happened? And to your point, it feels like you have this really nice inflection point and really a nice competitive advantage to be able to really push out tennis stories and build that back up.
Um, I believe that all tennis players, is not that I believe, it's a fact that on the tour, they're all independent contractors. So they all make their own decisions, they all make their own schedule. Therefore, it's very hard for a fan to be able to follow. And I believe, on what at least I've seen from a sports fan perspective, what the NFL has done unbelievably well, you actually see NFL all year round. They have their season, but then as soon as the season's over, they start telling the story of their off season, what's next,
Mm-hmm.
and it's sort of a reality show that whole time. But what happens when you have a league is that you have that ability of consistency of one, you have teams that you continue to tell the stories of if a player leaves team A, hey, the team A still exists.
Hmm.
Therefore, now you can tell a story of who is going to replace that X player. And then you basically, throughout a season, that being a 6 week season or that being a 10-week season, you have continuous storytelling of the same players, the coach, the rivalries, which I believe from a fan perspective, especially nowadays with so much social media around, you want to have that fellowship, that not only how that player competes, but hey, what is that player doing on their off time? Does that player do a little TikTok dance? Does that player eat the same things that I eat? Does
Hmm.
that player live in the same community that I live? That
Hmm.
already attracts. And I think one of the aspects that we believe that there is an opportunity in tennis is that, hey, if you look at the all of our 18 players that were on the teams plus all the players that were on the challenge team, none of them were top 10 in the world, but they were very relatable to kids. They were
Hmm.
very accessible to the kids. So every time after every match, we invited all the kids, all the parents, everyone to come on court and to chat, to hit tennis balls. And I think this is where we go deeper. And I believe that's the great opportunity is to create this grassroots aspect of it. As in tennis, unfortunately, it makes it hard when you're talking about global, Sterling. I mean, can you imagine a kid in Atlanta growing up as a 10-year-old? How much access, how much can I actually relate to Alcaraz? He is from Spain. He never comes to
Right.
Atlanta. And but if I see someone there training in Atlanta, and I can see it's possible. I can see that I can dream of becoming a tennis player because someone in my community did it. And that's what we're trying to do with more and more communities as well.
So from the fan, what does this when the fan walks in to the match? What do they expect? What will they see? Just kind of take us through the visuals there. And I think also from the pricing structure that you guys have, I think it enables fans to get for a great price, very economical. You can have great sight lines, great views, great access, which I think is amazing to be able to grow, especially starting in the ATL area. But what is that fan experience when you walk in and you're now getting your first look at Intennse?
Yeah, well, number one, I think the fan experience starts before you even arrive. So, how we communicate to ticket sales, to the information that you need to get before you even arrive, where you're going to park, what you're going to expect. Now, you know, finally on a tennis match, how long the tennis match is going to take. You know when
Hmm.
it's going to start, you know when it's going to end. So, you can have
Mhm.
plans before and after. And then upon arriving, you will see a very much outstanding branding where you can be captivated by, so we look at colors, we look at lighting, we look at soundscape on how everything can someone get in and feel that they're home and they can be who they truly are in that arena. That
Hmm.
being if you're the loudest person in the room or if I just want to sit back and watch a great tennis match. So creating that environment that allows that person. So once you arrive, we want to make sure that you do have the best food and drink that you can have. So you feel comfortable. You have the nostalgic feeling that you when you sit down to watch a tennis match,
Hmm.
that you have that ability to not have to, oh, do I have to get out? I'm gonna miss this point. And then throughout our match in itself, we have music that is not going to detain yourself from actually experience the points,
Hmm.
but at the same time it allows you to feel comfortable to speak to your friend next to you, to yell at the player that you like or dislike. You have that ability to go to the bathroom whenever you want, and that sounds silly, but if you ever have been to a tennis match, sometimes you need to go to the bathroom and you're not allowed to go, and then you want to come back to see that crucial point, and then you're not allowed to come back in. So we want to fans to be liberated, to be free to be themselves and to do what
Yeah.
they want at that point, right? Of course, everything with a little uh, caveat on do whatever you want.
No, I love that. Listen, millennials, if you're out there, right now, if you're in the Atlanta area, you thought you had a ball and you couldn't afford the section for this Saturday or this Friday, and you're like, babe, I got some good plans for us. She's like, where are you gonna take us? Where are you taking us? I got just don't worry, just know it's gonna be close. We either go space. We're courtside, and we're
Yeah,
gonna have a good time, and it's gonna be nice environment, good ambiance, and then you show up. You know, like you said, you know what the timing is. You can have a great experience, and then if you want to have your dinner reservation after, then go boom, 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 slide on out for that little
that's
late night
right.
dinner. Do it however you want to do it. But I love the product because you said something earlier where from the Gen Z, and I think we've talked about this on countless pods, where it's hard from an attention standpoint. Everybody's now having more so ADHD when it comes to media consumption, and just from being able to sit down for a 4 hour game. The only sport that's been able to captivate that is and capture that has been the NFL in a way that you're not gonna that you have strong retention. So you guys have a model and a product that allows to capture the younger generation into ushering them into one inspiration into the sport, two having a fun outlet for families to be able to go to, and then also now let's bump it up a little bit to the older age group, and then now it's a activity for, hey guys, we can go out, have some food, have some drinks, also have good entertainment. You don't have to be quiet and reserved, and then also with that time frame, you know when you're getting in, know when you're getting out, and the experience throughout is a good product for everyone. So no, I do love that, but I wanted to give that shout out and that call out. So you got something, you want to have some extra plans, you know where you can go. I know the season has finished now; it's concluded on August 10th, but you have another opportunity coming up next season, and I love and I'll be waiting for the expansion as well when you guys go to 60 players in a secondary hub.
Yes, no, I appreciate it. I mean, I already have an ambassador here. I thought that you just went to watch, not starting, but no, I appreciate it. And you're right. Our season just finished. We will be hoping to do, a couple exhibitions, grassroots events until we get to our second season, which will start in June in 2026. So stay tuned for that. But at the same time, we want to continue to have those conversations. We want to interact. We want to even invite more organizations because, as we mentioned, yes, we're talking about the cherry on top here, which is the professional tennis players, but we want to be part of this community. We want our players, we want our coaches, we want our staff to be part and to create this atmosphere that you can learn tennis and remove, unfortunately, this stigma that it still currently exists that tennis is elite and you need to be rich. We don't believe that. We believe that it is accessible, and tennis, it's not more expensive than if you would play, pickleball, honestly. So the accessibility is there. It's just creating that environment.
Right.
Yeah. Well, no, this has been Yannick. This has been amazing. Can you tell them where they can find you personally, and then also how they can find Intennse and find more about the league?
Yes, well, I'll start with the league. So when we say Intennse, as you will see the play on word there, but it's Intennse with two N's, so Intennse. So a lot of people say Intennse sometimes, but it's Intennse. So you can see intennse.com. We're on Instagram, Intennse Tennis, LinkedIn, Facebook, whichever social media you use to follow, TikTok as well. And then for me, best place it's go and connect with me on LinkedIn, Yannick Yoshizawa. I won't spell here. Hopefully you can see it. My name it is how it sounds like it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I'm looking forward. Again, please connect and let's continue to evolve the experience for everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, thank you so much for doing this and being a part of this, and thanks so much to the Profluence guys for putting us together and getting you on the podcast here. And so, and we can't wait for our listeners to hear. So, thank you so much.
Thank you all, and appreciate everything that you all are doing, not only for us, of course, but just for the sports industry in itself. Thank you.